Conflicts are inevitable parts of every society. I mean, conflicts in our societies, we find conflicts every now and then. Even in the animal kingdom, there are conflicts. So, leadership needs to understand the rudiments of leadership, of conflicts, so that they can work very well effectively with their teams to resolve such conflicts when they erupt. Good afternoon, cherished viewers and listeners out there. Today is another great Thursday for our Leadership 360 conversation, live on Metro TV, Ghana, on DSTV channel 277, and on Facebook at Metro TV Ghana. I am your host, Dr. Victor Abbey. Today we're going to look at leadership and conflict management. Let's take our leadership pledge, and when we come back, we shall continue the conversation.
Are you looking for an excellent professional risk management and training solutions provider? Look no further. Your ultimate solution provider is here at V5 Solutions Limited. We support you with our professional skills in building capacity of your teams and managing all your operational risks. Our bespoke solutions include private and corporate security risk management and training, fraud investigation, occupational safety and health management and training, project monitoring, evaluation and research, supply of private security, logistics equipment. Our solutions are professionally delivered with in-depth focus on people, processes and procedures, the environment and ultra-modern technology. Contact us now on 0303 957136 and 053 5176 or send us an email at info@v5solutionslimited.com for a partnership that strengthens your company for an excellent sustainable productivity and profitability. Visit our website at www.v5solutionslimited.com for more details. V5 Solutions Limited, your ultimate.
You must be selfless in your leadership. Selflessness means you have to focus on the benefits others derive from your leadership rather than what you derive from others. And that's what will change our society.
I promise on my honor to be a better leader every day, faithful and loyal to my country, organization and fellow team members, countrymen and women. I pledge myself to remain true to the core values of integrity and self-discipline through my daily choices and actions. My mind is alert, focused at all times. I shall show respect to everyone always and every time. I remain a better leader and team player always. So I pledge.
Welcome back, cherished viewers and listeners. This is Leadership 360 Conversation. It is that time where we look at the critical rudiments of leadership for us to learn, unlearn, and relearn so that we can accelerate the development of our own leadership skills for the betterment of our communities. Today, we're going to be looking at leadership and conflict management, because indeed, conflict is part and parcel of every human society. So it's very important for leaders to be conversant with the underpinnings of conflicts and conflict management so that they can perform better with their teams. But before we proceed, let me indicate that this program is live on Metro TV, DSTV channel 277, and on Facebook Live at Metro TV Ghana and VOL Online Radio. We are live because we have sponsors like GOEL PLC, V5 Solutions Limited, and FV Global Consult. Today we have in studio a guest by name Dr. Nana AMMA ADJOVU. In fact, our guest today is a very multifaceted professional. Her credentials cut across legal profession and banking, as well as, if you like, alternative dispute resolution. She's going to help us to understand what it means when we say conflict and what are the ingredients that leaders need to pay attention to when it comes to, picking the signals and working on those signals to minimize conflicts within their teams and also to manage them. But before I welcome our guests, let me say thank you to Mohammed Aminu of Unique Fashion Design for my beautiful outfit. I love it and I thank you for it. For viewers who may want to reach out to Mohammed Aminu, you can reach him on 0242 76 7274. 0242 767274. Unique Fashion Designs, Mohammed Aminu. Thank you very much. Dr. Nana AMMA, welcome to Leadership 360.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Abbey.
We are really glad to have you on Leadership 360 because you're going to contribute largely and immensely to our understanding of what conflict management is all about. Just to set the ball rolling, just help us understand what is conflict or what are conflicts, and if you like, the different types of conflicts that we have.
Thank you for this. Dr. Abbey, when it comes to conflict, it's a very broad area. And there have been so many school of thoughts, so many definitions, so many perspectives. But in its simplest form, conflict is any form of serious disagreement or misunderstanding between two or more parties. And the parties could be individuals, groups, organizations, or even countries.
Wow. So if I have a disagreement with my producer this afternoon, can we describe it as conflict?
That is why I said that a serious disagreement.
Okay.
And conflict is something that should be perceived by the individuals involved. So one person cannot sit and say that he's in conflict with someone when the other person does not even know that there's a conflict. So when it comes to conflict, it has to be serious because not all misunderstandings are conflicts. Yes. And you mentioned about the types of conflicts. Also the types of conflicts, there are so many types of conflicts. It could be interracial, ethnic, religious, but they are all restrictively grouped into either interpersonal, intergroup, or international.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in as much as there are conflicts between ethnic groups or individuals, there are broader classifications.
Yes, and all fit into either the three main, that is either interpersonal, intergroup, or international.
Thank you very much for that. Now, definitely, for people to disagree with each other, leading to serious disagreements that will culminate in conflict, there must be some undercurrent or causes. What are some of the causes of conflicts?
Most of the time, the common types, the common causes of conflict is misunderstanding, lack of communication, and competition. And if you call it incompatibility of personalities. Dr. Abbey, if you put two opinionated people in a group or in a project, you are likely to face conflict because each of them would want you to know that they know better than the other. So, exactly. And so conflict occurs within these individuals and is mainly caused by the differences in opinions, in interests, in values, and in communication styles, most of it.
You touch on values.
Sure.
A bit of light on values.
So, when it comes to values, each individual must have a value. A group of community must have a value. A country must have a value. An institution, that is an organization, must have a value. So when values are misplaced or when values are not aligned, value in terms of a value could be integrity. You say that we want to rely on integrity to do our things. But if one of the parties does not believe in integrity, he believes in doing, excuse me to say, pakpaka way of doing things, then it means that there is a misplaced priority of a value in there. Yes, and that could be a catalyst for conflict.
Okay. So value systems that a society or a community or an organization subscribes to, that conflicts with either an individual's values or a group's values or a team's value can lead to conflict. And I guess with those ones, since values define basically the very existence of every unit of human endeavor or society, will I be right if I say values contribute largely to conflicts?
Right, you are very right. Just like I mentioned earlier, that if my values do not align with the organizational values or your value, definitely there will be a conflict. And that's a recipe for conflict that if it's not well managed, properly managed, it will become a full-blown something that could not be stopped.
Talking about conflicts, serious disagreements, is it the case that conflicts are bad things to experience?
This is an interesting question. I say it's interesting because traditionally, conflicts were seen as bad because people saw conflict from an angle of violence, from an angle of crime, from an angle of war. But when you come to modern society, because of human relations, you realize that conflict is not so much of the causer of the conflict, but the reactor. So conflict could be good or it could be bad. You cannot say it's neither good nor bad. It depends on how you handle it. So if you handle conflict properly, it could help you understand the situation better, and it would help you build good relationships, and of course it will increase productivity. But of course, if you don't handle conflict properly, then it becomes bad because it's going to affect relationship, it's going to affect the overall being of the company and overall being of the individuals involved. So it depends how one responds to conflict. It could be good or bad.
So once somebody said he believes that without conflicts there are no relationships among human beings or among teams. Do you subscribe to that?
I wouldn't say what I subscribe to, but I would say I agree with the person. The reason being that it is through conflict that you metamorphosize. All right, the world is dynamic now, and when you're able to identify what caused a particular dispute, then you are able to better put measures in place to resolve it so that when it happens again, you know what to do to either prevent or at least minimize it. So yes, without conflict, it's difficult to build a relationship. And as humans, we are all not the same. So definitely, we come from different backgrounds and all that. Even in the animal kingdom, as we introduced, you come from different backgrounds. So definitely, once you are coming from different backgrounds, you would have conflict, and it's how you react to it that will make the difference.
So how we react to conflicts determine whether it will work to our favor or it will work against us. That's an interesting input there. Now, for every conflict to erupt, as in a disagreement to get to the level of seriousness that can be described as conflict, there may be signals, early warning signals that can point to the fact that this thing, when not handled now, or when you don't nip it in the bud immediately, it will result in a conflict. What are some of these early warning signs that leaders and team members, especially within, let's look at it from the community and the workplace perspective. What are some of the early warning signals that one can pick to indicate that, hey, this thing is going to result in a conflict?
If you ask me, one of the early warning signals is miscommunication. You realize that people misunderstand each other, misunderstanding and miscommunication. And then you realize that people start forming factions. When you are in a group, when you are in a community, or you are in an organization, and you see that people are forming factions, people start complaining about each other, you see increased complaints. And then you realize that if you don't solve that, if you don't see that, you realize that then they start gossiping. Gossiping is one of the early signs of conflict. This one says this about the other, this one says, then they knock heads together. Yes, together. And then one major early warning that is visible enough is hostility. You realize that because it hasn't been picked from the early stage, you now see it, you now feel it, you feel the anger in people, and then you see the hostility in them. And then, of course, it's going to affect productivity because people become laissez-faire. They will either not come to the community event early or the work early, and if they do, they don't put in much effort to work, and so productivity will decrease.
Wow. So you talk about aggressive or hostilities.
Yes.
So when people begin to behave in an aggressive manner, reacting to issues aggressively, or being hostile to each other at the workplace, leaders or team members should take note.
Yes.
And realize that something is brewing.
Yes.
And take the necessary steps to nip it in the bud.
Yes, because underneath hostility is a problem.
It's a problem.
They may not come out to say it, but that is the most visual or immediate thing to notice. Because the anger has been built for some time, and so they will start showing it.
I also want to stress the fact, I want to hammer on what you mentioned, laissez-faire, a lukewarm attitude towards work or towards community activities. That should also signal.
Yes, because
that something is wrong somewhere.
Yes, and key amongst is the withdrawal syndrome. You see that people develop this "I don't care" attitude, and then they withdraw. They can't be bothered because they are not happy.
Yes, that means that all of us leaders must always open our eyes and ears to observe our immediate surroundings, the team members we deal with on a daily basis. I suppose so that we can pick up some of these signals here and there. Okay, now aside the legal processes that lead to conflict resolution, which is a legal matter, a technical area I wouldn't want us to dive into. Sure. But looking at alternative dispute resolution mechanisms, so to speak, I believe there are processes to resolving conflicts. Can you help us understand, basically, fundamentally, what the processes are? Because of lack of time, we have to jump some of the things that we need. So as time goes on, I believe our viewers will ask the questions and then we'll move on. So processes that we need to go through to manage or resolve our conflicts at the workplace.
First of all, Dr. Abbey, when I started defining what conflict is, I said that misunderstanding in communication, I kept mentioning communication, miscommunication. And so one of the key approaches to managing conflict is communication. When you put in effective communication in place, it makes it easy for people to dialogue and to talk to each other when they are not happy about something. When communication fails, because sometimes the conflict can escalate to such an extent that discussion between the conflicting parties become a problem. And so in that sense, you need a neutral third party, that is a mediator, to facilitate communication between the conflicting parties. And then again, you can also employ collaboration. When people are put on teams to work together, you first of all build teamwork amongst them, and you also build trust amongst them, and that is a way of resolving conflict. That is, sometimes it will even prevent conflict anyway, because they know they are working on a common interest. And there's also compromise, where you come to a middle ground and you start it from there, so that you know that your most important needs should be met. And so this is what you are working towards, to make sure that those needs are met. And so you don't rely so much on problems, but on solutions. There is one approach that we talk about generally, but I may not personally recommend, but it's an approach that is avoiding. Sometimes you need to avoid it to stop unnecessary confrontation that may even escalate in terms of trying to resolve the conflict. But the risk here is that when you avoid conflict, it comes back to bite you. So it's an approach, but it should be used carefully.
I by way of just what I picked from your presentation, the process.
If you want A, you say so to your community members, to your work group, to your colleague. You say it as it is, that you want A, B, C to be done, and don't expect that the person should know. And then when they do not know and they commit the mistake, then you complain and conflict will start coming in. So it should be clear.
A situation where a worker or a team member is told one thing and another person is told another, can breed conflict.
Yes, it's a catalyst for conflict.
So it's part of the effective communication. It must be cut across.
Yes.
That what is communicated must run through everybody.
Must be standardized, and everybody knows that this is what the team expects of each and every individual in the team.
All right. Now let's look at this aspect of when you bring in an external person to assist in conflict resolution. Definitely leaders play a role, or team leaders will play a role. What will you say are the critical roles that leaders need to play in resolving conflicts?
A critical role a leader must play when it comes to workplace conflict or community conflict is to provide support for the members. A leader should be able to be responsive enough to provide support. And a leader must have that mediating skill. So a leader, your role is to know when to step in when there's conflict. Because it's not every conflict that a leader must nose around. Sometimes you must empower your team. And in empowering, one of the roles is to set up your conflict resolution tool in place. So even in your absence, in the event of any conflict, your team members can resolve by themselves before you come. So as a leader, you should know when to step in to mediate and facilitate resolution of a conflict. And then communication comes in again, where you must state clearly the expectations of the team. That's the role of a leader, so that you don't expect something from B and go and ask A about that when you did not give A that instruction. So as a leader, you must set clear expectations for the team, so that no one takes on board what is not expected of him or her. And then basically that, being responsive, being supportive, knowing when to employ your mediating skill, and of course setting up conflict resolution models for your team members to employ when in your absence.
I was going to ask what are these models, but let me Let me quickly take a breather, and when we come back, we'll continue. Viewers, so far we are talking about leadership and conflict management, and we are picking up a lot. We have learned about the fact that leaders need to know when to step in and when to stay back for conflicts to be resolved by their own team members. On this note, let's take our breather. When we are back, we'll continue the conversation. Welcome back, cherished viewers and listeners. You are watching Leadership 360 Conversation live on Metro TV Ghana, and we are also live on DSTV channel 277, Facebook at Metro TV Ghana. The conversation is on leadership and conflict management. Before the break, we spoke about the fact that leaders have a role to play, and that role includes effective communication and behavior, as in knowing when to act and when not to act. So we'll continue the conversation with our guest, Dr. AMMA ADJOVU. Doc, before the break, we spoke largely about all these things. Now, I want to send you back to the value, but before we go to the values, team members also contribute effectively or meaningfully to conflict management or conflict resolution. What are some of the things that team members or community members need to appreciate in the bid to solving their conflicts?
Thank you once again, Dr. Abbey. One of the things that team members or people in a community must appreciate or must exhibit to minimize or prevent conflict is teamwork. Mm-hmm. Everybody on board a project, everybody on board a team should know that they are not working alone. And therefore, you should look at the various perspectives and various, if you like, ideas from other team members. And so when you appreciate the fact that you are not the only person on the team and that you are looking at the overall interest of the team and the collective success of the team, then you realize that as a team member, you should first of all develop a role of a team player to be able to work within a team. Okay. And with that, you are also able to communicate clearly to the other team members in an event of conflict. You're able to express yourself so that because you know that you are working towards a particular goal. Okay.
So as team members, we must understand the diverse perspectives within the team, so that we don't get fixated on our own views and think that we know it all.
Yes.
Okay, so, before we continue, I think let me quickly announce the phone lines for our viewers so that they can join us in the conversation. There are so many aspects of this discussion that we may not be able to cover. So the phone line to call is 0531-982298. 0531-982298. You can send a WhatsApp text as well so that we can read your contribution or your question to Dr. Nana AMMA for answers. Now, when it comes to the larger society or the organizational space, first of all, let's take it one after the other. The community space, there are value systems, as you mentioned. Culture plays a role in either fueling conflict or promoting peace.
Yes.
What is some of the impacts or contributions of culture to conflict management?
The main impact of culture is to bring all parties on board, individual, society, within the community. And so once there's a positive culture syndrome in the community, you realize that people find themselves aligning because they believe in the particular way of doing things within that particular community. And it also brings out people's involvement. So one thing about culture is that it brings out individual and then group involvement, and that works together collectively to reach the community's goals. Yes.
So the strong values that the community subscribe to,
yes,
may contribute
positively or negatively, depending on how the people within that community ascribe to that values. So if it's a positive value system that the community has, you realize that you see positive outcome within the people living in that society. If it's a negative culture that is exhibited, we're all here in Ghana when one major went to a particular village. The people are hostile people. That's the culture. Their culture is that they are not too friendly to visitors. And so when they saw a stranger, to them they felt that their peace
was being disturbed.
Yes, and it was at stake. And so together we saw what happened. The same way, if they had a value system that told them that you should treat your visitors well, you should treat your fellow human beings well, irrespective of whether the person was a part of you or not. Your value is that you must respect all individuals. Right. Yeah.
Now, we'll get to the workspace.
Sure.
Every organization has a culture, organizational culture, like the communities. Now, I'm going to pose, a question that has to do with not a live case, but a case of a CEO coming into an organization. But before I continue with the question, we have a caller. Mohammed from Tamale, good afternoon.
Afternoon, how are you?
I am fine, thank you. Welcome to Leadership 360.
Oh, thank you. Normally, when they say leadership, there are certain things, secret that the leaders will have qualities. Certain quality you will have, and then those qualities the community don't have. So these are some of, so when they say opinion leader and so on, there should be somebody who can speak and the whole community will accept. So these are some of the things, and the leadership and the conflict resolution. The causes of conflict, people know that the causes of conflict is failure to perform. When people, like a company and so on, they fail to perform, they tend to rise against the target set. Who is the target setter? Is the leader. And we don't want this leader. So these are signs of weaknesses in performance. The same apply when you go to a community where you say that we have the Gombe Union Association, we have Concombers Association. Those associations, most of them they are leading to conflict. In the sense that they go and discuss certain things which doesn't bring unity within the community. And when you have a community or conflict resolution, you have to make sure that definitely you bring the people. That's why we say that, MPP and NDC are having a football match and so on. These are just to unite them, to make sure that they are with each other. Then the other issue we have to tackle very well is the community language. The language. So when you go, how do you type the language? If you are a chief in the village, no matter what they do is that in the night the chief will dress in such a way nobody will recognize. You will see the youth group talking, and you come and type, what are these people doing? They're talking about Maru and so on. The same applies to somebody we call Nazo. In the northern region, the Gomba tradition, we have Nazo, a friend of chief. And he goes out, type information for the chief. Are you getting me? And the chief will know how to handle the
right.
people. So there's no time. So I will just stop here. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you very much for the contribution. We will have to give others the opportunity to also contribute. So, Doc, we're talking about the organizational space, where just a case of a new CEO coming from a different organization with a different organizational culture, and has observed that the new organization, the culture there is not what he will want to operate with, and he wants to effect some changes. That can result in conflict with members, existing members of that organization. How do you see him? How should he behave in ensuring that it doesn't result in his bid to change the culture? It doesn't result in conflict.
Thank you, Doc. First of all, when you go to a new place, you must study what is there in order to change what you need to change. Sometimes you realize that there are certain things you may not even change. So the first step is to identify the environment and then the people you are going to deal with. And then you start soliciting for a buy-in. As a leader, as a new CEO, you must get a buy-in, because you cannot veto. The days of vetoing, we are not in the G5 stage where you can, even they don't use their power that much. Okay. So you must get buy-in from...
So please hold it there. Get a buy-in before you proceed. Dela, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Adam, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
You're welcome to Leadership 360.
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Please go ahead with your points.
First and foremost, I want to congratulate you for the nice program you are educating us.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm very, very grateful. But I have one question for Doc, your resource person.
All right.
In the conflict resolution to play. So, in short, I want to know, you compromising someone in a team or avoiding, as you may mention, how will that going to play a role? How is it going to be done? If she could please digest it a bit for me, I'll be very glad.
All right. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Adam, for your question. First of all, if someone within a team is not pushing forward and is dragging the team backwards, sometimes you need to understand the person. Compromising doesn't mean you shift your goal or your interest. It only means that you should have a middle ground. You should come to a middle ground. So you listen to the person. That's why one of the attributes of a leader is a leader who can listen. A listening leader. So you listen to the person and you understand where the person is coming from. Then you are able to inculcate what the person is suggesting. For all you know, the person is only proving difficult because he or she thinks he's not being heard. So once you listen to the person, you let the person understand, okay, this is where we are going. Let it be clear. This is where we are going. What you are saying, this will not help the team. However, we can twist it this way in order for the team to achieve its goal. And that is about compromising. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are leaving what the goal or aspiration of the team is about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Chief, good afternoon. Chief from Osu.
Good afternoon.
You're welcome to Leadership 360.
Thank you very much.
Please, your point.
Please, my question is simple. I just want to know, it's an experience I had, and I just want some explanation to the experience I had. We had election, and students, those that contested, it's like an individual election that we had, okay? And I won the election, but I ended up working with other people who opposed me when I was going to the election. And I ended up having about 80% of those team players to work with. As a leader, these are team players who wouldn't actually celebrate my victory. They wouldn't even expect me even to win, inwardly. So as a leader, working with people that will not even support your objective, that will not even follow your goals and your plans, because they think that they campaigned against you, and they wanted people to know that, okay, you guy, you are not good to lead. So in such a situation, What do you do as a team leader?
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Doc.
Thank you. I didn't get the name,
Yeah.
but I'll go ahead and answer
Chief.
that. Thank you, Chief, for your question. As a leader, you must be assertive. A leader must be assertive. And you must also know that not everybody will be on board with you. Once you're a leader and you accept and you acknowledge that not everybody will be on board with you, but the work must go on, you would ensure that your assertiveness will make you at least gather the few people that are on board with you. And then if you can, sometimes we may have to get down from our high horses and get to the level of the people who do not want to push us. Sometimes it's just something small they want to hear. Sometimes it's just one word they want to hear. Sometimes they even need reassurance that knowing that they did not support you and you know that they did not support you, already they've judged themselves thinking that you will not involve them. So as a leader, you should be assertive on what you want, but you should be willing to also bring even the people who you think are not supportive of you on board. And once they know you would work with them, they would come down and collaborate with you.
Thank you very much, Doc. Fortune, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Welcome
Okay.
to Leadership 360. Your points, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm calling from GIMPA. I'm actually a student from GIMPA, and I really enjoy the program and what you are doing. So I just have some few questions for your resource person.
Okay.
The first one is, how can the balance between justice and stability be achieved in post-conflict scenario? And the next one is, what strategies can be employed to mitigate the influence of external actors and interest in the resolution process?
All right, thank you very much, Fortune. I think you sent a text, so I will let Doc take it one after the other. How can the balance between justice and stability be achieved in post-conflict scenarios? So I guess we take this one first before we continue.
When it comes to post-conflict, we are looking at restoration justice. We are looking at bringing people back to where they used to be, if not at the exact position, at least at an improved position.
Yeah.
And one of the ways is inclusion.
Okay.
Inclusiveness. You should bring the people on board. You should talk truth and reconciliation. You should be open about it. You should understand the effect of the conflict on them, and then you should seek their input on how best they think that going forward things should have been done. Then you factor that in so that they would know that you acknowledge that what was done to them, though they have gone through what they went through, you do not ascribe to it that it was okay for them to have gone through what they went through. And so inclusiveness.
I guess it's going to be a long stretch
it's a whole area on its own.
On its own.
Yes.
So, Fortune, we will definitely reach to you once we have your WhatsApp text. We'll provide the answers to you, and then we'll share it later on the program as well. Viewers, when you're having this conversation every week in, week out, time is always, against us. We have learned a lot up to this point. One of the key things that Doc mentioned to us is that leaders must know when to act and when not to act. That culminates in what I call they must stand by an honor code. And that honor code is very, very important for all of us. So let's take a quick look at our honor code, and when we come back, we'll wrap up the conversation.
A proud and firm African. I will take a stand. I will lead and be the change. Come and take my hand. For the safety, honor, and welfare of my country and company come first. Always and every time. The honor welfare, and comfort of the people I lead come next. My own ease, comfort, and safety come last, always and every time.
Welcome back. Doc, your final words.
Thank you, Dr. Abbey. First and foremost, conflict is inevitable. As humans, once we come from diverse ways or in diverse backgrounds, we are prone to conflict. It could be good, it could be bad, depending on how we handle it. As leaders, we should be able to harness and manage conflicts well, to be able to harness the beneficial ingredients that come with conflict. So
thank you very much. It's been great having you. But let's take a food for thought for today's engagement. It goes, every conflict we face in life is rich with positive and negative potential. It can be a source of inspiration, enlightenment, learning, transformation, and growth or rage, fear, shame, entrapment, and resistance. The choice is not up to our opponents, but to us, and our willingness to face and work through them. Cherished viewers, a repeat of this program is on Saturday. It's been great having you around. If you want to sponsor this program, just call the same line, 0531 982298. Let's all contribute our quota to the development of our communities, country, and continent at large. I will see you next week, and we shall continue with our conversation. Bye for now.